what are the features and what are the attributes that really make Python ahead and unique among the other programming languages. So that's the main focus of this presentation. And the second one is like, I'll be covering the various overview of inner things of Python programming, like what are the features it will be supporting, what are the libraries, and its inner programming architecture or organization, whatever it is. And in the end, I'll be telling the overview of the course details that I'll be presenting, or I'll be like expecting for the entire Python course. Okay. So this is the high-level agenda for today's discussion. So if any doubts, you can stop me. Yeah, I'll start. So everything starts with history, right? So like Python is a bit old programming language. Yeah, even though you'll be thinking it's very new, that's also in one way correct. But it's there right from 30, 40 years back, right? So it was there in the late 1980s, invented by the person called Guido van Rossum. Okay. So like, he is again like graduate from one of the top institute, and during his PhD course, I think he designed this initial level of Python course. That's how it started. And basically he got inspired from some BBC show TV series. So that's why this Python name came into picture. And the third one is like, again, anything doesn't start from scratch. So, right. So there are some references. He was greatly inspired from the programming languages like ABC and Modulo 3. So using that, he started to design and architect the Python programming, the third point. And one major thing, the last but not least, the major thing or major concern for him is like he wants to design a program that should be very simple and it should reach everyone. Okay. So we know, right, if we think or if we recollect, at that time, C, C++, and even Java was in very early stage. All are very strongly typed. So in the sense, like there are not that much inbuilt functions, right? So we have to come up with our own logics. So it's a very time consuming, right? When we think with respect to business, it will be very time consuming, and all those factors are there. So considering these things in his mind, like he designed Python in such a way that it's easy to learn and also like easy to convey whatever logic that we are having. So that is how the very high level history of Python. And these are the logos, right? So up to 2006, it was like the symbol was like this. But from 2006 to present, this is how the symbol of Python is as of. Okay. And going back to the next slide tells more on the evolution of Python programming. So as already discussed, it's a bit old programming language. So from this slide, you can, like we can come to conclusion like how much evolution happened inside the Python program, right? So that's really one of the very nice news to hear because, like, the markets are very dynamic in nature and lots of dimensions will be impacting it, right? Whatever domain it is, like healthcare, insurance, finance, etc. Whatever it is, it's like we all know that, right? World is going very fast way, but Python is surviving till 30, 35 years means it's only due to its very strong programming evolution. So that is what this slide is telling to us. Yeah. Now comes the top programming languages. So again, past 10 years, I think there are some governing bodies who will always be, like listing the programming languages based on various criteria, right? So I think right from 2012, Python is continuously ranked in the top 5 or top 10 at least with respect to various features, various inbuilt features, and lots of its capabilities. So that's one of the strong things about the Python programming. Along with that, JavaScript, Java, and all these other languages are also there. So these are also there along. So that's what this slide is telling about us. Yeah. Now this is one of the very important slide, right? So as we were discussing, like how Python is or why Python is better than the others. So the first one is I was telling, right? C, C++, Java, 30 years back and all are very strongly typed. So for all the functions, we have to come up with our own coding style to make it applicable for the business logics. But Python is very simple, right? It's very simple and there are lots of inbuilt functions. And another important feature here is its interpreter in nature. So again, to recollect, there are two wide concepts in programming language, right? One is compiler, another one is interpreter. So interpreter is like line by line execution, it will be happening. And we can, realize the output or logic or whatever related terms based on line by line instructions. So that's very feasible, right? So that's what this point is telling. And third one is, easy to learn is what we discussed. Third one is support to Python community. This is also very clear, right? Like there are lots of online communities and lots of, forums are there, like we can share. And apart from that, one major thing here is, there are some professional and the very top Python governing organization who will provide lots of community support to all the developers, researchers, business users, etc. And the next point is like Python is having lots of libraries in it. So again, the same thing, right? So no need to write our own logic. Like say, for example, like if two, whatever it is like, so some two medicines are there, which one is working better for the better treatment. So those things and all, like at least to certain level, we can use the existing libraries in the Python. So that is also evolving. So along with Python, the inbuilt libraries and also some external libraries, right? We all know, right? Some of the top companies, right, or like OpenAI, Azure, AWS, and etc. Any companies, Meta, all those things, and other companies also, like they will also in parallel develop some libraries. It will also grow along with the Python. That's in the end making our programmers' job easier, right? So that's what this point is all about. And frameworks also, it's quite similar. Like web frameworks are there and the mobile frameworks are there, etc. So yeah, that's what this point is all about. And the next one is like versatility, efficiency, reliability, and speed. So again, we can run Python in any OS and any platform or anywhere, right? Like it's not very dependent on Windows or Linux like that, right? So it's very portable. Portability of the Python is very good. So that's what they are telling about. And also performance-wise also, it's very good compared to the other programming languages. And the last point here is various applications of Python programming. So again, initially, the core concept, their ideology is more on automation and scripting. Maybe in up to 2005 or 10, that's what, up to 2005, I think. That is what their core concern. But, like gradually from after 2005 and lots of top machine technologies like machine learning, artificial intelligence, cloud computing, all those things were growing, right? And big data especially. So slowly, like Python became more aligned to these technologies. So it started to, provide support, again, the same thing, libraries, to make it feasible with these technologies. So that is why, considering all these points, Python is definitely standing among the other programming. Now comes the IDEs. So yeah, now we got what is the logic and what are the, like how the programming language will be. So these 2 points we got. Now comes the platform. So where we have to write the code. That's the next point. So again, Python is having lots of supporting IDEs, that is integrated development environments. So using this, we can write our code, compile it, debug it. Even we can have the version control, and like that's what. Even you can do some sort of unit testing. All those things it will be supported, right? So these are some of the IDEs that are widely used in the market. So PyCharm, Spider, Visual Studio. These three, I can say in a very rough sense, these three are a bit different. PyCharm, Spider, and Visual Studio are pure standalone environments, but Jupyter Notebook, SageMaker, Databricks, and maybe some other related things, these are somewhat cloud-based. So like it started, even Jupyter Notebook, maybe it's in the borderline between these two, but you got it right. So especially SageMaker and Databricks are pure cloud-based IDEs. That's also widely used. So maybe I can rank nowadays, like for our learning purpose, Jupyter Notebook and PyCharm is very good. But for production or any IT related things, software related real-time production, SageMaker and Databricks are widely used. Yeah. Now comes the libraries. So we were discussing, right? So in general, nowadays, Python is widely applied for machine learning and web design framework. Okay. So again, maybe machine learning, artificial intelligence, data science, and to some extent, big data. I think we can club them together in a very wide way. So these are some of the libraries that are there in these that are widely used for this technologies. I mean domain. So machine learning, AI, data science, for all these things. These libraries are very capable. I mean capable and also like they are predominantly used. That's what I mean, right? So pandas here in the sense like it's for data frames and for reading and manipulating the files, and lots of other operations are there. I don't want to make it more jargon sort of things. I would like to make it tough overview, so no need to confuse. But again, I'll be covering extensively in the mainstream course when it's getting started. So that is what this pandas is all about. And NumPy is basically a numerical Python. So it will be supporting various numerical operations related to the same. And again, scikit-learn is more of like coming up with some algorithms for artificial intelligence, machine learning, especially some supervised and unsupervised learnings and all these things. Okay. So TensorFlow and Keras are a bit related. So both are used for deep learning sort of problems. So again, TensorFlow is a bit tightly coupled. So, like only we can use some of the existing features that are there with respect to deep learning algorithms. But using Keras, it's a bit loosely coupled. We can customize the algorithms to a certain extent based on our application needs. Okay. And coming back to Matplotlib, it's more of graphical tool, and especially for displaying our results in the form of bar chart, pie chart, scatter plot, etc. So all those things, Matplotlib is very helpful. Okay. And the last one is PyTorch. So again, PyTorch is a bit related to deep learning sort of things. So that's what, right? But compared to TensorFlow and Keras, it's fine. I mean, those are highly useful, but to a certain extent, PyTorch is also used in the market. Yeah. Now comes the web framework. So again, for nowadays, right? So based on our work, like I mean functionality, whether we are developing the Python code for machine learning or for web framework, there will be some slight deviation, right? It will be deviating bit to a certain extent. Like so these are libraries that are used for web framework, right? So like request is more of like HTML and URL and parsing those things related to this, right? Even Beautiful Soap is also like that. Sci-fi is basically scientific computing sort of things, right? Like if you are working on some linear algebra, image processing, maybe like sound processing and all those related things, we are using sci-fi. Again, Cubic Web is a framework, right? It's a web development framework that is used in Python. And Fast API is also a bit related, like how we can access the APIs in a very quick manner if our performance is really concerned with respect to our applications. Scrappy is also like that, right? It helps to parse the XMLs and whatever it is, right? XMLs, HTML files, and any web-related technologies. So now comes
Srihari.
yeah. Yes.
Yeah, this Django and Flask, is it like frameworks like before, like the previous slide, or is it different?
It's basically a framework, right? It's actually a framework, but sometimes, right, in a practical sense, they'll be using it together, right? This libraries and frameworks. But Django and Flask is a pure frameworks, web frameworks. Yeah.
Okay, Srihari. Thank you.
So yeah, that's what. Thank you for your question. So that is these are the web frameworks that are used in the Python, like Django, Flask. These two are very widely used compared to Pyramid and Dash. Yeah. So again, one more thing is like if you go a bit technical further, like Flask is a more of modular sort of thing, right? It's a very lightweight. First point is Flask is very lightweight, and Django is a bit heavily loaded or heavy weighted. So again, based on our application, we can either choose Django or Flask based on this criteria. And the second point is like Django suits very well for object-oriented things, but Flask suits very well for this modular programming or related things.
So what is difference between modular and object?
Okay, yeah, thank you for the question. Okay. So in general, modular is more of structured programming, right? Like I will tell you an example. See, the C is a very conventional example. It's there for a long time. So it's the major, I mean, it's the threshold or benchmark example. So C programming, all are structured oriented. So there is no way to go here and there, like go to some other place. It's not at all like that. So everything will be happening in the sequential way. So that is what the modular programming is all about. Coming back to object-oriented programming, and before that, the plus point of C is like it's well organized. And the one small concern with C is like if our application needs to be more of reusability and especially and the reusability and again template based use, right? So no need to redefine everything, no need to reinvent the wheel. So there comes the object oriented program. So considering these factors, C++ and Java started in early 90s. So some of the core concept of hoops are like classes, objects. So these will be So these
inheritance, polymorphism,
inheritance. Exactly. So this will be telling more of like club all the things together as a template, and maybe we can use it whenever it demands. So no need to rewrite the things, no need to reuse the same things. No need to reinvent the wheel. So that's what the concept is. And one more important thing is like abstraction. So we can define certain things in abstract way in the early stage, and then when application demands that we have to predefine it or we have to iterate it means, then we can like go for this polymorphism or especially inheritance, we can go for that, right? So these are the differences. You got it right. Yeah.
Yes, I got it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. And comes the features. So these are the features that are there in the Python. Again, some of them that we already discussed. So I will just list one by one. Okay. So readability. Again, we discussed, right? It's like there is no need like we have to be very strong in programming syntax and all those things. So it's not like C or C++, right? So it's very helpful. It's like very plain terms we can understand. Only we have to focus on our logic. So that's what this first and second point is. And third one is like log standard library. So this one also we have discussed. So there are lots of libraries that are there, and even like they are also evolving, helping us solve the problems. The fourth point is cross-platform compatibility. The same thing, right? Platform here in the sense OS, even cloud. So if you are having the code means we can run it or and compile it in many of the platforms. It's very supportive. So dynamically typed. So dynamically typed is more of like it's more of runtime compilation, right? So that's what the feature of Python. And OOP we already discussed. Even extensive third-party libraries here in the sense. Apart from inbuilt libraries, even though if any person, right, any person who wants to develop and join it over there, we can use it for our Python. And the next one is integration capabilities. The same thing, right? We can integrate with other programming languages also, like Java, C, R programming, and all those things. Next here, rapid prototyping. So here, rapid prototyping is more of like, initially not nowadays. I mean, yeah, to nowadays also, but maybe 5-8 years back and all. See, like before starting any of the thing, we have to develop some POC or prototype before, like based on lots of factors are there. At that time, Java was predominantly used for all the production environment. But Python started with automation and scripting. Then slowly for prototyping, before going for production, they used to verify whether our logic and whether any of our use cases are working well. So that's what the rapid prototyping is all about. So that's one thing. And community support also we have discussed. So these things we have discussed. And coming back to declarations. So again, like C or Java, no need to type each and no need to define each of the variables. We can see during the course that this is what the concept behind it. Okay. And next comes the automatic memory management and garbage collection. So these two factors, right? Like Python will itself manage its memory so that no need to worry about buffer, cache, and all those things to a certain extent. We can again discuss in a later time. And next comes the garbage collection. Again, right? So in C++, Java, and all, maybe we have to, like delete some of the heavily loaded variables. That is not the case in Python. It will take care of itself. Okay. And again, the second one, next one is like pure restrictions and rules. So the same thing, right? So it's very feasible. So no need to worry about lots of other programming rules while writing the Python. So it's very user-friendly. That is what it is. And it's interactive and dynamic means since it's an interpreter, like we can, like run the code in an instant basis and check whether things are fine. So
Srihari, like one more question, like sorry.
yeah, sure, no problem.
Is cross-platform compatibility, right? Like suppose if you connect with the Oracle SQL, does it come in the cross-platform or which category?
See, actually, we can say it as like cross-platform compatibility along with that. Yeah, I got the point. Along with that, here it's majorly it means like what are the OS or what are the cloud-based environment it's compatible. That's what it means actually.
Okay, cloud-based. Okay.
It's more of this class, right? It's more of integration capabilities.
Okay.
Yeah, this feature will be more of what you are telling, like how we can integrate with Oracle SQL or any third part, SQL or databases. So those things will be coming. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, just this is the last slide. So these are the various course details, right? Like initially, like it's not entirely fixed on this. Maybe after joining it, after enrolling it and all those things, maybe we can extend it or add for further more things, or we can go deep dive on these things also based on the requirements, right? Yeah. I'll tell briefly about each and every things, and you can also ask any questions. Yeah. So yeah, ideally installation we have discussed, right? So there are various environments how to install it. I think for our course, mostly we'll be using Jupyter Notebook and this PyCharm. I'm sorry, PyCharm. So these,
okay.
Yeah, fine. You got it, right?
Yeah, got it.
Thank you. Types operators, right? So these are somewhat related. So the data types here are float, string, etc. And operators we know, right? Like arithmetic, assignment, comparative, identity, membership, etc. Those things are here. And conditional, I'll make it a bit fast because I don't want to because it may be once we start technically, then we will get in. So I would like to do that's
Oh, okay, fine.
Yeah, thank you. So conditional statements, right? Again, with respect to other programming, like so if else and those things will be there, like if else, etc. So those things will be coming in conditional statements. And coming back to loops, right? So again, the same thing, for loop, while loop. So those things will be there. So one major difference here is like it's a bit more feasible in the sense in a real-time scenario, like we can make it applicable in lots of cases, for especially for loop. Yeah, we can again discuss that points. And next comes the collections or collection framework. So again, this list, tuple, set, dictionary are one of the core components of Python. So how we can do some sequential definition of data structures in Python using this set of collections, right? So these things will be covering widely. And user input is like this is very simple one, right? So how to get the input from the user and how to like display on the screen or display to the user, whatever it is. User-defined functions. So again, the same thing, right? How to write some module-based programming. And again, coming back to your question, right? So we can use Python for both things. Module or structured programming also, we can use Python. And for object-oriented things also, we can use Python. And lambda functions is more of like inbuilt functions, right? Like, like no need to, if our purpose really demands very small function inside a very big function, then we can go for lambda functions. That is the case. And next one is exception, how to handle the exceptions that may happen during compilation or other runtime, how to handle it. So we'll be covering in this topic. Date and time are also there, right? So especially machine learning and all, like we have to be very concerned with time-based things, right? So those things will be covering in this chapter. A file processing. So file processing here in the sense like nowadays, right? Notepad, I mean text files, CSV, Excel, Parquet files, Word to some extent, or etc. Many files are there, right? So Python is very friendly with all of them, so that like we can read the files, do some write operations on top of them, and we can use it for file processing things. Next comes the regular expression. So in short, in Python world, they'll be calling it as regex. So again, in a very short sense, like if you want to, like make some intelligence out of text, we can use this regular expressions or the things. Yeah, and next comes the SQL and database. So as you asked it, right? So there are lots of libraries. Using it, we can connect to SQL or Oracle, whatever database that is, and we can plug in and play around those things. Yeah. And comes the like apart from normal files, even you can parse XML and JSON files, because like again, in some real world scenario, these files are demanding, the demand for these files and manipulating them is very high. So again, these topics will be also be widely covered during the course. Then comes the libraries and packages. So as we already discussed, right? So there are various libraries, like as per the hierarchy, it can be segregated into machine learning or web framework. So we'll be covering them during the course in this section. And the last one is multi-threading. So that's also in the programming, right? Like if you want to, like do some more than one process together or more than one thread together. So those applications will be covered under this multi-threading. So I think that is what comes. So any doubts?
I mean, don't we have arrays in Python?
Not exactly.
Arrays.
Yeah, not exactly arrays, but I'll tell you. See, pandas itself, we can do all these operations in pandas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and apart from that's what it will be coming in those things. And apart from that, in the NumPy is a very very good library. Even before pandas it came into market, like we can really play with two-dimensional and multi-dimensional array using NumPy. Okay, so those things will be covered under this.
Oh, okay, fine.
Yeah, those things will be coming under will be covered under this library.
Like pip install pandas.
Exactly.
Right? Okay.
Yeah, that's correct. So Joseph and Anil,
Yes, we had.
that's what for this one. Yeah, I will also share the PPT to ma'am and your Infotech, and you can feel free to like go through the material.
Yeah,
Yeah,
how many days will be the course?
In a tentative way, it will be like 45 days to 60 days.
45 days to 60 days.
Yeah, that's correct. It's 5 days per week.
Oh, okay, fine.
So it will be covering 1 week, I mean 1 hour daily. And my rough plan at this time is like last 10 minutes, we can have some discussion with any queries, a query session or like those things, right? And then, so 15 minutes, in a rough way, 15 minutes for the topic coverage and 10 minutes for the discussion.
Okay, fine. So Django is advanced. It should not be considered like.
Yeah, Django is advanced, right? Django and Flask are like for web developers, they are very advanced, and even for all the market things, they are widely used. Yeah. So you got it right?
Yeah, got it, Srihan. Thank you.
Thank you. So Anil, you have any questions, or we are good. Okay, then I think, right? So thanks for joining. Yeah, thank you. And